Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So our theme for this week, we are taking a look at books that deal with detective stories. Now, these are characters that they're kind of in the middle of a mystery, maybe murder, maybe not murder, but they are trying to figure out what the deal is going on. So that's how I define detective story. Like, I'm not thinking so much straight Sherlock Holmes type detective story as opposed to the main character is just trying to figure out what is going on in the situation that they find themselves in. So let's take a look at 6 books that we have here that are detective stories in their own unique ways. So our first one is Serious Moonlight. So Birdie loves mystery novels and aspires to be a real-life detective one day. At 18 years old, though, she has grown up with her grandmother, and when her grandmother passes away, Birdie finds herself lost, though, and now trying to survive on her own. She ends up getting a job. She ends up working the graveyard shift at the Cascadia Hotel, which now she has to face Daniel Aoki every day since he's the hotel's van driver. And she had a very awkward encounter with him just before she got the job, and she was hoping to never see him again, and now she gets to see him all the time, and he doesn't want to avoid her, but she wants to avoid him. So when Daniel approaches her with a possible mystery revolving around a hotel guest who uses a pseudonym because he might actually be this famous author, Birdie can't help but get sucked in, and soon she finds herself on this epic scavenger hunt trying to solve clues all throughout the city of Seattle, and she wants to try to figure out this person's true identity. This realistic mystery romance is very lighthearted and not as serious as others, but will still leave you wanting to know what happens in the end, and you'll be cheering for Birdie as she just tries to figure out life on her own. This is Serious Moonlight. The Silence of Bones. So it's the early 1800s in Korea, and 16-year-old Seo finds herself orphaned. She's the youngest in the family. Her 2 other brothers, one of them has completely disappeared, and she is then sent by the state to the southern province to work for the police. Because when you're orphaned at this time in Korea, you basically were put to work by the state as an indentured servant. So she's sent to go work off her debt with the police. And they decide they're gonna make her work as an officer in cases that involve specifically women. Because under the Korean law at the time, men are not allowed to interview or handle any female victims. So, as a series of gruesome murders start to take place in this area, Seo finds herself being assigned the case, but it soon stirs up more than just her intrigue. It also starts to stir up memories that she seems to have buried in somewhere in her past, involving the death of her parents and her missing brother. As Seo inches closer to the truth, she may actually get the truth behind her own life while solving this case. Filled with a murder mystery and a history about a time and place we probably all know very little about, and it is extremely eye-opening. This is one you will not want to put down, and you will be trying to solve this murder mystery as well as Seo's own personal one. This is The Silence of Bones. Who Killed Christopher Goodman? So it is Virginia, 1979, and in the middle of the town's annual Deadwood Days Festival, 17-year-old Christopher Goodman is found killed on the side of the road. Throughout this story, it is then told in the voices of 6 other teenagers, all who saw Christopher before he was killed. And one of these 6 is the murderer. You'll be trying to figure out, you'll become your own detective, because as the story goes on and you start to hear what they have to say and piece together their stories and their versions and their backgrounds, you are going to be trying to figure out which one of them is the murderer and why this even happened anyway, because Christopher was one of those people everyone seemed to genuinely like. Based on that true story from the author's hometown when he was growing up in Virginia, if you like your detective stories with a touch of suspense in which everyone could be a suspect, then this is the one for you. This is Who Killed Christopher Goodman. With Malice. So Jill and Simone have been best friends since elementary school. Now they are 18 years old and they're in Italy for a trip before they head off to their separate colleges. But 6 weeks later, Jill wakes up in an American hospital with a broken leg and no memories of what happened over the course of the past 6 weeks. She doesn't remember causing the car accident that killed her best friend, the plane ride she was whisked away on back to the States, nor why when she wakes up she has a lawyer at her bedside. It is when she turns on the news for the first time that she realizes that she is being accused of intentionally killing her best friend, and Jill knows that cannot be the case. But unfortunately, she can't remember anything, so she has no idea how to prove her innocence. As Jill tries to regain her memories back, she does not know who or what to believe, and the only way that she is going to save her life is to try to bring back the truth as fast as she possible, because she is facing deportation back to Italy to face murder charges. If you like a good psychological detective story that will keep you guessing up until the very last page, then you will totally enjoy With Malice. A Deadly Game of Magic. So Lisa and her 3 classmates are driving home one evening after working on a project together when the car breaks down. And not only does the car break down, but then this epic rainstorm opens and they are caught in this flash flood. And in order to get help, they start to make their way to the nearest house. And as when they are there, they're invited inside by the couple who lives there, and they're told that they can stay as long as they want, but then they leave, leaving the 4 of them in this house that belongs to some random strangers. And that is when things really start to go south, and they find themselves trapped in this house with this super intense magician who has this game set up. And they need to figure out and play this game successfully in order to make it out alive. But Lisa decides that she needs to figure out what is actually going on here, even if it's going to cost her her life. This suspenseful mystery is one that you'll be solving right alongside Lisa and her classmates, as they are going to need each other in order to survive. This is a deadly game of magic. And our last one for detective stories is Monday's Not Coming. So growing up together, Monday and Claudia have been best friends, but Claudia, at the beginning of the summer, she leaves Washington, D.C., and she goes to visit her grandparents for the whole summer in Georgia. And even though she writes Monday, and Monday never writes her back, she doesn't really think anything of it. Until it's the first day of school and Monday does not show up, which is extremely weird and not like Monday. So Claudia is really concerned, and she gets even more concerned as the days go by and Monday does not show up to school. So Claudia starts asking questions, but the stories that she is told by other family members and friends, they don't make sense or they don't add up, and no one actually really seems all that concerned that her best friend has gone missing. Claudia decides that she's going to take matters into her own hands if she is going to find Monday. But as she starts to dig around, the secrets she starts to uncover are things she never could have imagined. Not for the faint of heart, this book is very intense and is filled with some super serious topics, but it's an eye-opening read that will make you look at the world differently, and the ending will stick with you long after you close the back cover on the final page. This is Monday's Not Coming. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that are detective stories. So I encourage you to come on out, check out one of these, or we can help you find another detective story mystery that you'll be solving right along with our main characters. So I encourage you to come on out, and we will be here to help you. I hope you tune back next week. We have a whole new teen book spotlight, and have a great week.